growth is something that you highly prioritize. And my question to you is, if you were going to define intrinsic motivation, what's your working definition for that term?
It's a good question. I mean, I think obviously another definition would be toughness is the ability to just do the next right thing over and over, right? And so if you're intrinsically motivated, then you are motivated to do that next right thing over and over, day after day, in a pursuit of excellence that, if you really look at it from a human nature perspective, is never truly attainable, right? Because, you know, as I've always said to, you know, our teams at Butler and now the teams here, the goal is to win it. And Geno's done that a ton, right? But what do you do the next day? You better be doing the same stuff, because it's not really about that. It's about being the best that you can be and putting your signature on everything you're doing. And then the next day it becomes about beating human nature and doing it again. And then the next day it becomes, you know, and it's just about being intrinsically motivated to not settle for someone else's expectations, not settle for anything else, but trying to be your best at something you love doing.
Well, and that's what I asked Bill, is I said, how do you identify it's coming from within? And here's what he said.
First of all, how much he's done. You know, what past performance will, you know, usually give an indication of what you can expect in the future. So a player that's done a lot on his own, that's worked hard on his own, that's overcome things, and, you know, that hasn't been given a lot, but has earned a lot, will probably continue to try to work to earn those, you know, the next, you know, round of challenge, meet the next round of challenges.
In the evaluation process, how are you evaluating whether or not someone's intrinsically motivated? Or are you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we as coaches can truly motivate someone that doesn't really have that, whatever you're calling it, intrinsic motivational feeling. You know, like, I don't think we can do that. They either have that and we can pull it out of them, sometimes drag it out of them. But if they don't have it, we can't give that to them.
How do you identify it as you're getting to know people?
A lot of times what they say, and if they back it up with what they do. So a kid will say, I want to do this. So you're watching them play, and you ask them, say, hey, by the way, are you happy with that, that, and that? And if they go, yeah, I thought I was pretty good today, then you know, like, nah, I don't think so. And if they immediately come back and go, Coach, I think I can do this, this, and this better. All right, show me. And then they go out, and without you watching and being over there to supervise them, they're trying to get better on their own all the time. And when they come to practice, they're engaged, they're watching, they're learning, they're studying their teammates. When they're on the sideline, they're paying attention, they're involved in the game. Diana Taurasi's the best player that's ever played women's basketball at any level. And I knew that when I saw her play her first game that I coached her when she was in going to be a freshman in college with USA Basketball. And then when she got to college, the minute she would come out of a game, and I would take her out, and I would sit here like this, and the team was right here in front of me. If she wasn't in the game, she would get up off the bench, or if she was coming out, she would get up off the bench, and she would sit right here like a pet, or like your grandkid, and she would sit right here, right next to me, and as I'm talking, she's like giving affirmation to what I'm saying. And then if I would go, God damn, and if I would start going off on a kid, she would be like this, come on, Coach, what are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? And like constantly get you back on, like she helped coach the team from the very first time she got there, because she was interested in getting better, not dwelling on what we didn't do well, living in the past. She lived one step ahead more than anybody I've ever seen.
Well, and the next thing that I'm always interested in is, once you find the prospect and then you bring them in, what does that look like? And that's where we went next.
Well, I mean, the most important thing a veteran player has to do is to take care of himself and to do his job and to do all the things that he needs to do. But they can certainly provide advice or direction to a player who's in a similar situation as they are or they've experienced. So, some of that depends on the veteran player we're talking about and the new player, and what his needs are, what he's looking for, and how closely that matches up or aligns with a player who's already here. But we have great veteran players on this team who are very willing and open to do that. Again, how close it matches up, how much help they actually are, sometimes depend on the match between the new player and the veteran player. But there's a willingness to help. Certainly, as it relates to football, how you play this position, how you do this technique, how you run this play, that's pretty defined. And I said the veteran players are very good on that they can actually show them this is how this is what you do on the play and this is how you do it. And in most cases they can do a very good job of explaining or demonstrating that because they've done it.
What role do the vets play with orienting the newcomers?
Well, I think that first of all, it's important that in the NBA you realize that there's an 82-game season, and when you become 28, 29, 30, 31 years old, you've figured out how you add value to winning, and you have a very deliberate way about your practice. So you don't go, Al Horford doesn't come in the gym and do an hour and 10 minutes of worthless drills. He comes in the gym and does 20 to 25 minutes of exact drills, and then he leaves, and he takes care of his body, he does his lifts, he eats perfectly, he always gets his sleep. All of those things are what add up as you get longer into it. Whereas a Jaylen Brown has more work to do to catch up. And so he's figuring out where he adds value to winning, and he's trying to grow his skills in a way that we can figure out where he can best create strengths that are applicable in this league. And so one of the things that's really interesting is that they're really on different work schedules because of where they are in their careers. But the commitment level by Al is 100%. And the way that he shows it is he's always doing the right things over and over and over, and he's always eating right, and he's always energized when he walks in the room, which means he got a good night's sleep. Like, there's all kinds of ways to lead by example to the young guys, and even though their workouts may not be the exact same, because Jaylen needs to do 10 minutes of closeouts and lead steps that Al's been doing for 12 years, doesn't need to do as many anymore, then those are things that, Jaylen has to recognize that the coaches are doing all this stuff to get him to the point where Al is, while all the things that you're learning from Al with the off-the-court stuff are what you really need to pay attention to.
And you were telling me that what you try and communicate to the upperclassmen is that a lot of their success depends on how quickly they can orient everybody into the environment.
Yeah, and I think that's much harder in the pros because Brad was just saying in the back, you don't know how long someone's going to be there. They may be there a year, 2 years, 3 years. We know we've got our guys for 4 years. So if a kid says, during the recruiting process, a kid says, I want to win a national championship. Well, if they show up at Connecticut and they don't get their teammates involved, and they don't get buy-in from everybody on the team, especially the young guys coming in, because the nature of the young guys coming in is, I got 4 years, man. I got forever to get my national championship. Meanwhile, the guys that are juniors and seniors go, I'm running out of time here, and I need everybody on board. So you can tell some of the older guys by how they mentor the younger guys to get the most out of them. And I came back to Diana. Diana didn't necessarily like or love some of her teammates off the court. But while we were on the court, she made every one of them feel like they were the best player in the country, because she made sure that she treated them that way and got them to play better than they really were at a young age. Why? So she could win. And the great ones, they know they can't do it by themselves. So they're the best at coming over. You can tell a lot about a guy's character by how they treat those young players, and if they treat them in a way that, come on, I'm going to help you. Somebody else might not help you, but I'm going to help you. Why? I need you. I need you. I went to a Bulls practice when Jordan was playing, and there was during training camp. So there's like 19 guys in training camp, and there's 11 guys with guaranteed contracts. So there's one spot open among the other 8 guys, and so they're doing some breakdown drills, and Jordan, Pippen, and Harper were at one basket working on some closeouts. At another basket, 3 guys were working on something. At the furthest basket away from Jordan, a couple of the big guys were working on some post moves and doing some things. So Jordan, he closed out, boom, boom, boom. Now he steps off. He looks all the way down the other end of the floor. He sees Bill Wennington miss like an easy putback. He blows up at him and starts, oh! And like everybody that was there was like, what's that all about? He's thinking, Game 7, and I pass you the ball, and that's what you're going to do? And you're going to cost me a championship? So the great ones, they see and they react to everything that goes into winning. And that's when you know you got somebody special.